Stellig. Ach man, extra draaien.
Ja, dat is wel leuk hier te staan.
You go through this whole thing again.
What is your address?
It's enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where does your daughter live now?
While we're busy
now
with it,
where
I might as well
is
see
the...
what...
Yes, I agree.
Professor Party Houghton, good morning.
Well, I'm glad.
Yes, just hold on, I'll check for you. How do you spell it? What have we got to look up now? Just that.
The voters number
Yes.
468 444 685. Wiley Charles Clifford.
Why are you on strike here?
For more money.
How much are you earning?
We get 6 rand, 4 rand a week.
4 rand per week?
Yes.
And how much are you striking for?
Over 3 rand or 5 rand. 5 rand.
Can you buy enough food and clothes on that money?
No, we can't buy anything.
Not sufficient. That money is not sufficient for us because all things are up now.
Well, I think there are a number of factors. One, certainly, however, is the spiraling costs. Basic foodstuffs have risen enormously over the last few months, literally, in South Africa. And my own assessment of the strikes, for example, in Natal, is that they have been a gut reaction, and then almost
Literally a gut reaction.
Oh yes, quite literally a gut reaction. And then a kind of reflecting on that and a realization of power in terms of numbers, the fact that nearly 80% of your industrial force happens to be black. This awareness has given urgency to it.
Am I being too dramatic to say that there is a change happening in South Africa?
No, I don't think you're exaggerating in any way. I think that there is a change. I think it's overdue, but I don't think South Africa is going to be the same ever again. As a direct result of the black man becoming aware of his power and of I think the industrialist, the powerful man in South Africa becoming far more aware of his responsibilities.
elections 4 years ago, you expressed concern that the right wing of the Nationalist Party would prevent Mr. Vorster pursuing a more flexible, outward-looking policy at home and abroad. In view of what's happened since then, are you more optimistic today?
Yes, to a certain extent I am. I think that Mr. Vorster has taken courage from the fact that the right wing were all soundly defeated in the last election, so he feels that he can move a little more in certain directions, such as in sports policy, and maybe as far as the traditional labour pattern is concerned in South Africa. That's really where there have been the main changes, and one or two sort of fringe changes as far as petty apartheid is concerned.
How do you foresee the consequences of what appears to be a watering down of the strict philosophy of apartheid?
Well, I suppose the consequences are that it will be to some benefit of the black population. But unless there are major changes made, such as changes involving mobility of Africans, allowing them to move freely around South Africa in search of the best market, for instance, for their labour, conditions which would allow them to own their own homes in the urban areas, and indeed, most important of all, changes which would give them a meaningful say in the political setup in South Africa, I don't really rate these changes that high. I think that as Africans climb the economic ladder, and as you get a larger middle class among Africans, more vocal and more organized, you are likely to have greater pressures for political rights. Indeed, this is my hope. I believe that the political salvation of South Africa lies in economic advancement of the Africans for this reason.
If political progress doesn't keep pace with economic progress for Africans, what do you think will happen?
Well, I suppose you'll get flashpoints of violence, you'll get sporadic outbreaks, you'll get industrial disturbances, you'll get that sort of frustration manifestation among African people. But I really don't think that they're sufficiently organized or able, in any case, to stage anything on a more national scale.
We were the first to be granted self-government, thereby paving the way for others. What has happened in the Transkei has been used to model the development of other homelands.
Estas son piedras certificadas, árboles. Oh yes, I think it will. Because you see, in our country we speak also two languages. One is Spanish, one is a native language. The people estas son plantas sudamericanas. Extraordinario. Pero I'd like to see it. Vamos a ganar el premio de la medalla de oro a estas plantas.
Who stands the native homelands on which Mr. Vorster lays such emphasis as a realistic political framework for Africans?
Well, insofar as they cater for less than half of the African population, they do that much for them, let us say, but the other half is not catered for at all. And the other half consists of Africans that are residing either on the white farms as farm labor, or they're living in the so-called white towns, also as industrial and other types of labor. And those people are there, and they're there to stay because industry needs them. Many of them have been, many thousands of them have been born in the urban areas, and their children have been born in the urban areas. And really, they don't consider the homelands to be their natural homes. They consider the urban areas to be their homes.
Now, I must warn you that your gathering here is unlawful. And unless you disperse immediately, I shall have to use force to disperse you. I must warn you for the second time that your gathering here is unlawful. You are not allowed to stand here, and unless you disperse
You're right. Come on,
It was police brutality. Come. They were hitting them with no reason. With
hitting
no
us for
reason
nothing.
they were
We're just
hitting them.
standing there.
The police were hitting with no reason.
A growing dissatisfaction among blacks with their treatment and standard of life. How confident are you that South Africa can avoid the racial upheavals that America has gone through?
Yes, well, there are, of course, similarities, but there are also great differences between the situation in America 20 years ago and the situation now. The similarities are the growing dissatisfaction of our black people with their standard of living and the obvious inequality of opportunities for them. So that there will, as I have mentioned before, there will very likely be flashpoints of violence and dissatisfaction manifesting itself in this way. The sort of revolution of rising expectations, or whatever it was known as in America. But the difference is, of course, that in America, the whole situation was accelerated by the law being on the side of change. And this, I believe, is a very important difference indeed. And I think in South Africa, we too will have to change the law in order to accommodate ourselves to the changing economic and other circumstances. Now, whether as a result of that one can avoid upheavals is anybody's guess. I think if we're smart, we will learn from America's mistakes and not keep Africans in suspense as far as their expectations are concerned, but accelerate the pace of change so as to keep up with their expectations.